Hello, hello, hello. How y'all do? Hold on a second. There we go. I've spent most of this evening doing things I didn't think I was going to do to fix everything, but it's fine. It's fine. Why did this not? Oh, I didn't link it. There we go. Okay. Roar! Alright, so I'm testing the vertical streaming. It's not going to be a long stream today. I had to go through so much shit to uncouple SC Live from my OBS, reinstall OBS, and redo everything just to do vertical streaming. However, depending on how my internet provider is, I might try and bump up to 1080 streaming. Because when you do the dual format streaming, they guarantee you server-side encoding for right now, which would be pretty sweet. And maybe I could handle that. But for now, we're testing at my usual 720 because I know a lot of you guys watch on your phone. So please let me know if the vertical stream is working. I have at least pulled up on my phone, but I can't hear it right now. And I'm testing the fastest game I play, so we'll see how good this all looks. And if my internet doesn't completely shit out on me. It's taking less bitrate than I thought, so we should be good. But it is Spectrum, so we all know better by now, don't we? At least I do. But, you know. And yes, I was biting the Luna Snow. That's what you were hearing. Because when I reinstalled OBS, it also reset some of my settings, so it wasn't quite working. Don't judge me. Alright. But I will say I like their vertical streaming a lot more than TikTok. And I probably won't get banned immediately playing Rivals like I do on TikTok, so we'll see how this goes.
The right heroes could make all the difference.
I appreciate you, Ace, for making sure this sounds good. It seems like it just takes my sound settings from the base stream setup, so like it should be fine. Should actually work better than TikTok streams. Sounds the same on my phone like it does my PC. So that's good. That means bitrate is good for audio.
Greetings. They'll be coming in 30 seconds. Stay strong.
Like if they keep the server side encoding, I might up my stream. So it's a nice crispy 1080, but we'll see. I couldn't do it before because my internet completely tanks when I try and do it, but
the battle starts in 5, 4, 3.
If they're willing to take some of that burden, it'd be really nice.
Securing the mission area. I hope this is important. Reed and I.
Oh, I couldn't get her. Oh, everything hurts.
That's much better.
I can't stay as a dino. They're just hugging each other and it's not great. Nice. You're crispy. I mean, I could be. It could be crunchy. Crispy crunchy. Shuvie, hello, how you do?
You know what to do, spiders?
I might shift you.
Better stop that vehicle!
This is officially a squid-free zone.
They made it halfway! Stop them!
I'm counting on you, friends. Time for some fireworks.
Doesn't feel like anyone is dying.
Powering up.
That's okay. I didn't need to see.
Whoever they are, they don't look friendly.
I didn't need to do anything apparently at that point. It's fine.
Better stop that vehicle!
It's fine.
They hit
Don't
a
count us
checkpoint.
out yet.
Now might be a good time to stop them.
You mean Valorant? Yeah. I don't know, man. I think
Better stop that vehicle!
the flashes in Valorant are way worse.
Thanks, name powering up.
It's now or never! Stop
Time
them!
for some fireworks.
You're ready. Here come the bad guys.
Gear up, little ones.
Thanks for the shield.
Time for some fireworks.
You stop them in their tracks.
Yokai are vanquished. You're mine.
It is in fact a disco party in Valorant.
I love a shield.
This is gonna hurt.
Us against the world!
No, that doesn't
Give
count.
another inch. Or else. Better stop that vehicle!
You know what to do, spiders.
Okay, well, I didn't want to hold it anyways.
Time!
Just embrace the light! Well, you can't expect to win them all.
So it looks like the chat covers the bottom of my model, kind of, but whatever, that's fine. You guys don't want to see my face, right? Can you? Oh shit. Why would anyone ever want high? I think they should tweak the transparency on the darker area that they have there. Because, like, your choice is either game or your face. There's really not... There's not a lot of room to work with. I was afraid I was covering up like too much of the screen, but I guess I'm not really covering that much. At least this way you can see my face. Aw, head pads. Thank you. It's really not the worst on my phone. Yeah, actually, it's actually pretty dang smooth for the streaming, I'm not gonna lie. And it auto just puts it to the vertical format. So like when I first loaded in, at first it was like, yeah, we're gonna go horizontal, then it's like, wait, hold on. And then to vertical, and it actually runs pretty good. Not gonna lie, the chat seems to work a little bit better on it too. So hopefully this will help some people that are mobile. Small indie company, I know. I know. You just won't see a lot of my face. Unless you had the chat. I think so. This will work okay. Yeah? Actually, I'm gonna have to move up the other. Well, so what I see is your face? Wow. Nothing but face. I could just zoom in. Actually, I don't even know how zoom will work on this. It cuts off. Okay. So it doesn't really work on vertical, but I'm not gonna adjust that for vertical. That's too much. You're just gonna have to live by it. If you want really good zoom, you're just gonna have to, you know, do the horizontal streaming. Sorry. Actually, hang on. I want this one. Is this a zoom? This is a big zoom. Yeah. You just get the good big zoom when you're on the actual horizontal. You don't get on mobile. It's okay. I'm not doing separate toggles for that because I barely remember to do them to begin with. So I think we okay there. What are toggles? Yeah. You know. But the important thing is you guys see my face. So long as the face is in an okay spot, then we're good. I think the only thing that doesn't look good is the high chat, but like, I think you're high if you're using that, so. That's insane. I'm gonna try and watch to see what it looks like with the rivals. It really does.
The right heroes could make all the difference.
But like, if I moved my model up, you'd get no game. Oh shit, I just dropped my phone. So like, there's really no winning with that. It looks really good when people aren't typing paragraphs. So just don't type paragraphs, guys. Oh, what do we got here? Healer, you know what? I don't really wanna... You tank it. I wanna try DPS here.
It's nice to take a break from cosmic judgment every now and then.
They'll be coming in 30 seconds. Stay strong.
Would you rather no game or less Lux? I mean, that's...
Don't melt my
I was watching some earlier that were like so much webcam and not enough game. It's like, well, that kind of ruins it too. Because I mean, you want to see the person that's streaming, but like,
The battle starts in 5.
you also want to see a little bit of the game. Unless they're doing something that they don't need to see the game, I guess. Then I could just move my model up. But I assume you guys like me watching all the Smash and Rebels. At least I think so. Why does the 720 on this vertical streaming look better than the 720 before?
A nice deep freeze.
Oh god, no, please no. Alright, alright, well. I'm gonna get, yeah. That's fine. Now I wanna see.
Better stop that vehicle.
Do they let you pick what?
I am fire and life incarnate.
There's still a chance to stop them.
Oh, they do. So 720 all the way down. So they still let you pick resolution too.
They hit a checkpoint. Now might be a good time to stop them.
No screen, so not as much process. I mean, maybe. Oh shit. Or maybe just whatever they were using for their vertical before just took too many resources. Like, however they programmed it wasn't entirely smooth.
They've made it halfway. Stop them.
A nice deep freeze.
Speaking of, their Thor is named Mr.
I
Bojangles.
am ready to put on a
Correction,
show.
Dr. Bojangles.
Thanks for the boost.
There's still a chance.
That Gambit has like 1 health. Come on.
I suck. What do I do for an encore? Everybody needs a hand sometimes. Or a dagger.
You stop them in their tracks.
A nice deep freeze.
Turning up heavily.
Get the band together.
New sub edge is looking good too? Yeah. They're very good. They turned out very well.
Roar.
I've come back from way
A
worse.
nice deep freeze. I'm hurt.
They hit a checkpoint. Now might be a good time to stop them.
I like the cold.
I missed.
I can feel your pain. Thanks for the
Better
boost.
stop that vehicle.
Sounds good.
I suck. There you are. Just embrace the light.
Jesus.
Behold the god of thunder!
Better stop that vehicle. It's now or never. Stop them!
Weapons are tools, and I'm the master craftsman.
I suck.
I'm good to go.
I am ready to put on a show. Be your best
I'm
self.
hunkering
Don't
down.
give them another inch. Or
Some uninvited guests.
How go the games? Oh, they're going all right. They're just little quick plays. This one isn't going as well though. I feel like no one's
Now
really
I'm
dying.
getting mad.
That's okay.
well, you can't expect to win them all.
The biggest thing today is that my streams look okay. If we don't win, we don't win. It's okay. I guess. I guess I know. I like wins, but I'll forgive it for today. Maybe they'll give me a pot match.
Pick your hero. Or villain. I'm not
Alright.
judging.
Ooh, pick me, please. Who are you calling a raccoon, huh?
A return with taquitos. Nice. That sounds awesome.
When the chips are
On the
down,
bright side,
you
having to
heroes
redo
will
all my
roll when
OBS
you
stuff,
struggle,
like,
me.
I feel like it runs smoother too.
30
So that's
seconds
nice.
before you attack. Get ready.
So you're really into plants, huh?
You're smooth.
I've got a bit of a green thumb
Could
myself.
Really?
be,
How fascinating.
maybe.
It's not the only part of me that's turned green. I really should see a doctor.
We do all of it. So I saved like my scenes and stuff, but like I have to reinstall some plugins and shit because I was trying to uninstall OBS Clean without Stream Elements, and that
Got it?
that was a lot harder than it needed to be, and I don't know why.
Down to this pool any way you like.
Because when you uninstall Stream Elements, it leaves a shit ton of files behind, which OBS still recognizes.
Thanks for the healing feeling. Don't mind me. I'm just dying.
So like I had to go in and delete everything. But it's funny because Stream Elements is still being recognized as like
Is yours to
capture, but it doesn't work. So that's all I wanted. Like I'm very confused on why there's still leftover Stream Elements, but whatever.
That's how it's done, heroes.
The mission area is yours.
Looks pretty smooth. Smooth is good. We want smooth here.
That's right. Everything is mine.
I said I'm looking at it once in a while from my phone, and like I'm honestly kind of impressed with how well it's working. Bravo, Twitch, small indie company. I like it.
See, I'm fucking helpful. a nice spot.
Hostile ahead.
But the problem is I can't check my horizontal stream when I do this, but it's fine. Because I used to just check it on my phone. Now I can't.
I'll patch you up.
Oh yeah, baby, that's the good stuff.
Team play. That's me.
Horizontal's good too? Good. I was a little afraid like the quality of that would go down. And I worked so hard to get the quality up.
Captured more than half of the mission area. Keep going.
My good deed for the day.
By the way, it's our bot match. Because in order to do the vertical, you have to do the Twitch enhanced broadcasting. Which I don't really like. You don't really have a ton of control over it. But
A shame they fight against us.
Guess who just showed their stupid faces? Thanks for the boost.
I'm
Glory is almost yours.
Someone scratch my back.
Play a game!
I'll patch you up.
so if this works for the charity stream, I'm not gonna fuck with it.
That way too much.
But next week I might test bumping my resolution up. We'll see.
Tentacles are my thing. You do you, Namor.
You're ready for action. Pulse charge. Fire.
Sweet. I guess I like you also looking at it because I know your internet isn't always the greatest, so like actually seeing it would be good.
When the chips are down, you want your heroes a little roguish and scruffy, like me.
I would normally DPS
30
rocket, but
seconds
I'm also
before you
trying to
attack.
like
Get ready.
look at my other stuff too.
I am happy to see you.
Buffered
too.
on horizontal
And happy
or
we're in this battle together.
mobile.
What the? Hey, nobody told me they're experimenting on living beings.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All you need to do is capture the mission area.
Well, the higher the bitrate, the little bit harder it's going to be for lower internets to run, but it's only using 9,000 kilobits per second. It's technically using
Never miss.
less than what I normally have a stream at.
You're welcome.
Because my horizontal, I run at 6 because
I am here.
I play Rivals. And lots of action.
I guess Cyclops was right about something.
Chin up. The mission area is yours.
Mission accomplished. Now to win the
Wasn't at the same time when it happened. So if they're not doing it together, that's however Twitch is doing it on the back end. Because I just have one stream going out. Twitch is doing whatever they're doing on their end. Server side encoding, I'm at their mercy for that.
Hope I make the cut.
That should make a difference.
You're ready? Your powers are mine.
Extermination!
This is real firepower.
Got my eye on some unwelcome guests.
I guess I should probably place my E. Huh?
Relay deployed. It ain't cheap.
Oops.
You're welcome. See, I'm flocking helpful.
You've captured more than half of the mission area. Keep going.
Ready for action.
I never believed Loki's actually down. Is he actually down?
Namor called in back. Boy, are they ugly. Don't mind me. I'm just dying.
What do I hit next?
I'll patch you up. My good deed for the day.
The area is almost yours.
Looks like we've got herself. Attack of the killer sushi. Full blast.
You needed some help, didn't you?
You're ready.
Ow!
Pulse charge.
No winner yet. Going to overtime.
Look, I know I could have moved, but like, I guess I thought I'd live. I thought I was gonna live. I mean, that's what I was thinking, Ace. I thought I was gonna live. I did not.
Another epic victory. Big win.
I mean, that's my star and I'm sticking to it, Ace. At the high ground.
They'll be coming in 30 seconds. Stay strong.
I'm a substitute. Great. I'm a Jeffstitute. Somehow that didn't play off as well as I thought it would. Our game's going. They're going good.
4, 3.
Mostly just testing things, so I'm not super like.
You have to stop them from
3.
securing the mission area.
I spy some bad guys.
Yeah, I did, Ace. It didn't hit too good. Look, they're not all winners when I make up words.
Thank you. Enemy located. That's much better.
Someone get this fuck ass Venom out of here, please.
Back to fighting strength.
Another loser to push.
Much better.
For the love of God, he just sits here.
Anyone willing to help?
Oh good, now we have a thing. Dear God. I didn't know you'd be doing it that early. What do you mean? Oh, for Valorant yesterday, yeah. My Sunday streams are always at 2 or 3.
What
Do you know that Peter Parker, Spider-Man, he's a menace? He is such a menace. There are so many words I like to say about Spider-Man.
Vehicle in its tracks.
And yet he's still not on my desk. Y'all slacking.
Vortex field.
Ah, here they are now. I feel like myself again.
I mean, Keto, I guess I just assumed that you wouldn't wait till 9 o'clock at night to be like, hey, yeah, I'm ready. Fuck!
That's much better.
I can't be chat. Yeah, 3 healers is really gonna work. I'm just gonna not. He's a bully. I'm sorry. I'm too lazy to drag his body. Well, what the fuck do I pay you for? What do I pay you for? Mm.
Extermination! It seems we have company.
Widow's
sure how I lived through that, but I did. I am very hurt. I don't even have a health bar, that's how hurt I am. Alright.
Feeling good.
I need to find cover.
Anyone willing to help? I appreciate you.
I didn't even shoot the squirrels over there. Oh, but they going. They going. No, they're
They
underneath.
hit a checkpoint.
Useless
Now
Tippy.
might be a good time to stop them. Where do you think you're going?
I must be off my game. Damn it.
I feel like all my nuts are missing.
Better stop that vehicle.
I'm rocking.
3 healers isn't working. Oh my god. Help. Help. Murder the venom.
I appreciate you.
That's all we need. I should do Scarlet. A little bit more consistent of a stun.
Oh, look at that. Get him, squirrel.
I don't want to moon them.
Better stop that vehicle.
And a cherry?
Anyone willing to help?
Man, the night I'm only streaming for like an hour, you guys show up. Dang.
Don't give them another inch.
Boy. Yeah, I gotta keep my shirt going. You know what? That's fair. I hate being me.
A gift from Khonshu. The moon haunts you. Haunts you very much.
What am I? Invisible?
You're welcome.
Target locked. Take them down. Damn thing. Need assistance. Disappear!
Find cover.
Well, you can't expect to win them all.
Ugh. I had to touch Moon Knight. I had to touch Moon Knight. It's gross. It's Ace's fault. I did my best. It just wasn't enough.
You like baby, I'm boom. Can I get a Luna? I think that's one of the funniest
No.
like parts
Wait,
of
why do I have
associate when you're.
why do I have voices?
Mm,
Why are there
no.
People
voices?
just. Nah, I'm wildin'? Okay, my bad, my bad.
No.
I am
No,
so
no, Mali?
confused.
No, Mali?
Which team to win this one?
Wait, I'm in this game. Okay.
She like Poppy, how you do you? I'm like baby.
I'm a baby, I'm home.
Yeah. I wish you went to. I wish you went to middle school with me and everybody else.
I am so confused. But okay. I had it for just squad, but okay, whatever.
I am accused of loving chaos. It is true.
This is a testing my internet and new streaming format
30 seconds
stream.
Get ready.
So it's a pretty chill. They do want Luna, but they can also not get Luna.
You granted Hela sanctuary after her fall from grace on Clintar.
The 8th city opens its gates to all refugees, no matter their crimes.
I shall remember that, should the throne of Ixgard ever be stolen from me.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All you need to do is capture the mission area. Got it?
No need for scientific explanations.
I'm trying a new fancy vertical stream.
Here come the bad guys.
Bless the healing arts.
You owe me one.
I was fine, but thank you.
I outnumber you.
I am the water fountain.
Render me assistance like a day at the spa. How refreshing. You are restored. You're quite welcome. The more the merrier. Here they are. Appreciate the boost.
Bless the healing arts.
Johnny! I could have helped.
I outnumber you.
That is much better.
Oh, I'm fine. Don't mind me.
Thank me later. That's much better. I feel like myself too. Healing for my friends.
I have many faces.
Hey, what's with all the spider bots?
Hold still. I'm trying to help.
I have many faces.
Ooh wee!
The more the merrier. Much better. Bless the healing arts.
Just embrace the light.
I'm everywhere.
You can count on me. I got a plan. Hup. You're ready for action. That's much better. Armor packs here. Pay up. Time to heal. Double
We just be rocket, it's fine.
You're welcome. Robotic
It's
spider.
spider time!
Your powers are mine!
I'm a very scared rocket right now. I'm just gonna sit, shoot some orbs this way. You know what? It's fine.
I'll patch you up. Someone scratch my back.
So cold.
You're ready for action. Of course, put the
60 seconds left.
You're welcome. I feel like myself again. My good deed for the day. Just what we need. This is real firepower! You're ready for action?
Robotic spiders. This should be easy.
Woo! Star-Lord. I'm just gonna be like Star-Lord. It's fine.
It's spider time!
You're welcome.
It's a hard life to be a rocket.
The final 10 seconds.
It's a hard time to be a rocket, guys.
You're ready for action.
Well, you can't expect to win them all.
That's a hard life. Alright, I can do one more, and then I'm gonna call it for the night. But it seems like everything looks pretty stable. Rocket, use dodge. Rocket, just run. It's run and dodge. Run and dodge. Worked fine.
Pick your hero. Or villain. I'm not judging.
Understood.
Agent F1. I'm going in.
I'm not healing that Spider-Man. Fuck that Spider-Man. I love 3 DPS when they actually DPS good, so you know what? I'll hold my breath and maybe they'll be okay. Or I'll just die. It's fine. Either way.
Tiger Division is
You were the Ultra that destroyed my face, weren't you?
across the globe, Hawkeye. In the interest.
I remember you.
Oh, so you're like the
You destroy my face a lot.
Shield, right?
GG's.
What? Nick Fury?
Cute. I'm White Fox.
The battle starts in 5, 4,
can call me the
3, 2, 1. All you need to do is capture the mission area. Got it?
I think I'm pretty relatable compared to Namor or someone like that.
Reggie's here.
The Spider-Man's already dead. This should be fun.
As good as new.
Let's go.
Area is yours to capture now. The mission area is yours.
You know, Spider-Man out. I don't really know what you expect here.
Nice finish.
I have a Johnny all the way in the back.
Oh, yeah, that hurt. Ooh, wait. That hit the spot.
I'm watching that Spider-Man die.
Sure, those are bad guys.
As good as new.
That Spider-Man just is... He's just webbing into that Punisher, huh?
You've captured more than half of the mission area. Oh, God. Keep going.
Make me vertical? Aww.
Fox on the run.
That's sweet.
I need eyes over here.
There's said he had Spidey's name on his game. Yeah. Mhm.
I require spade. Back in the game. Spotted one. You think you can hurt me? Still got an edge. Gamers never fall.
This is not ideal. Okay, well. Oh boy. Okay.
Your team's capture progress is past the halfway point.
You can count on me. I got a plan.
You know what? I'm just gonna shoot from afar. It's fine.
You're ready for action. That should make a difference. Spotted one.
I feel better already.
You know, I'm really glad I'm using this just as a test stream, because if I was actually like seriously streaming Rivals tonight, I would not be in a good mood. Right now, I don't care. It's fine. You know, the streams are working. We're doing good here. You know, everything's working.
Don't mind me.
Don't want to be on this side of the wall. No, no, we're good.
You're welcome.
Nope. Nope. I am a bush. Sneak successful.
You can count on me.
Try that Valor next time, right? Oh, probably less effective in Valorant, but you know, it's fine.
30 seconds before you attack.
Sneak level 100, let's go.
We, got a lot in common, you and me.
We are both
Hey, Buns.
ridding the world of the monsters that will devour it.
I was gonna say we both use swords and look good in leather. But, sure.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All you need to do is capture the mission area. Got it?
Well, the mutants did promise us.
I mean, hey, it's our entire weekend of Valorant. Or day, whatever. No, and the week. Like, they just did not.
I'll patch you up.
I'm thinking it just bugs out sometimes, honestly. Because there's no way they don't hear it that consistently, but maybe they do.
Looks like the mission area is yours to capture now. Capture the mission area!
That's blocking.
Oh, didn't have a bush this time.
Hell yeah. You ain't got rid of me yet.
I mean, his ult I hear all the time. Like, that's unmistakable unless you're not next to him.
The cosmos heals you.
Back in the game.
You're welcome.
I feel better
You're
already.
ready for action.
Still got an edge.
Your team's capture progress has passed the halfway point.
Gambit never falls. You're welcome. Here's how.
And we go from doing good to just getting fucking stomped. Alright, let's take a look here.
Goodbye.
Healing power.
They've almost got it!
Our foes have arrived. Behind you, my friend.
I was not paying attention. That's entirely my bad.
Break, baby.
Us against the world.
Judge, jury, executioner! Born again!
Oh god, oh god.
Second chance is over.
I wonder though if I do.
Can't expect to win them all.
Does that actually change anything? Doesn't look like it does. And I can't change that while in streaming, so... Well, if they're both at 6,000, then we should be alright. I said one more, but I'm gonna do one more just and see. This will probably be my bot match, so I'll be okay.
The right heroes could make all the difference.
Head pats though. All the head pats.
They'll be coming in 30 seconds. Stay strong.
Oh yeah, here. Oh
Eat
sweet.
nuts and
I can nut.
I think a lot of villains are just hurt and scared. It would be really nice to help them after I ping an acorn off their foreheads.
Alright.
I was wondering if you still needed entertainment.
Tweaks that a little bit. Let's see.
You put in a good word for me?
Show me what you can do on the battlefield first.
Might do absolutely
Battle
nothing.
starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You have to stop them from securing the mission area.
Honestly, I didn't like snow growing up. Harmony always tried to throw snowballs with me, though.
Oh, here they are now.
Sniper, look out! Hold still. A nice deep freeze. Ooh, a touch of healing.
That's an Angela. Nuts actually might not be the player.
A sniper. How irritating.
Please, we're hurt. You need me.
Got you in my sights.
Oh, sniping.
Find them.
Ooh, a touch of healing.
Here comes trouble.
Lock in on this enemy.
not hesitate to not, you widow.
Sniper, look out! Aw, sniper, no more sniping. A boom of light. That one hurts. Ooh, a touch of healing. It's the grand finale.
Magneto!
Whoever they are.
Give it never fall!
I've got yours.
My guard's down.
Everybody needs a hand sometimes. Or a dash.
I love that Magneto. He shielded me.
You know what to do, Spiders?
Well, they're no longer Widow. He went to Mr. Fantastic instead.
That one hurt. Don't have to be center stage. I suck. Get 'em, squirrels! We're better when we work together.
Let's pop back up under their noses.
I'm counting on you, friends. Who gave me this awesome shield?
Actually, I should just on this.
Perfect angle! Turn it up to full blast here!
Only 60 seconds left.
Fantastic!
I like the cool.
Knew I saw trouble.
Jesus. It's one else. It's one else. It's one else. Oh.
We're back. Right tip down to 30 seconds. You need to stop that vehicle in its tracks.
I'm trying to help.
Give it never fall! For mutant kind! I seem to be
Better stop that vehicle.
I like the code. We're better when we work together. Ooh, a touch of healing. It's okay. Admit it. You need me. Whoever they are, they don't look friendly. Got you.
Let me return the favor.
I suck.
You know, the Pop-Tart mode looks even worse when he doesn't have a shirt on, and I don't know how I feel about that. I don't think I like the bear Pop-Tart. This is uncomfortable.
A nice deep freeze. Where do you think you're going? Whoever they are, they don't look friendly.
Better stop that vehicle.
shield should do nicely. Once I am free from this darkness, you're not going anywhere.
Don't give them another inch. Aura.
My resistance is down.
Please, claimed by chaos. You are under my spell.
I like the cold. Double KO. That's 3.
Stronger on
You stopped them in their tracks.
Would you do that, Angela? Don't worry about it.
It seems we have company.
track this enemy.
Oh, sweet move, right? That almost.
Fire mode.
I didn't think I'd get anybody's worth a shot.
Stronger already.
Made him back up.
You stopped them in their tracks. Only 60 seconds left. I like the
Oh, my face. I'd like to think I took that to save the team.
I won't make the same mistakes again.
Down to 30 seconds.
Under my spell.
Damn it, never fall!
Final 10 seconds.
Now, a disappearing.
No winner yet. Going to overtime.
You're a fantastic! Jerry!
Well, you can't expect to win them all.
I suppose you can't win them all. I certainly tried. That's okay. Thank you for the head pats. Alright, that's going to be it for me tonight. I think I got my test in, at least for this resolution, so I think we're good. I think everything looks okay. Thank you, Ace, for checking to see that everything's working good. So, y'all, I will not be streaming on Wednesday. I will be prepping for the charity stream on Friday, which will be 12 hours of amazing community fun. It'll be community games and all sorts of goodies with the community stream goals. So, you guys have a wonderful night. I will see you all Friday at noon Central Time. Good night.